Just made it to camp. Here's what it looks like. Pretty spacious. Got the tents, probably gonna go right here. Some rocks to sit down. The little picnic bench. Low blow for the car. So what you just saw was an extremely condensed version of the two and a half hour or so long drive it took to get here from the city. We made it though. We are, for the most part, all set up. Might go exploring in a little bit. I haven't gone camping in 2 years, although I haven't been here at this specific state park in about 3 years. So while this is not totally new experience, it still is raw enough because I haven't come here enough times to get bored of it or whatnot. But yeah, this morning was extremely chaotic. I originally woke up at 8 in the morning and was gonna do some final preparations before I actually came here. You know, I hadn't actually packed by that point. I was thinking about taking another shower before I actually left. But what ended up happening was that I kind of got tired, and I was listening to YouTube videos to try to keep my mind occupied and hopefully keep me awake. But ended up going to sleep for another hour. Went with my dad to go shopping. So many of the places ran out of like the basic essentials that we really needed, like propane and ice, most importantly. But yeah, aside from all that, a lot of things went quite smoothly. It's been long enough since I last went camping to the point where I didn't realize, or I sort of just kind of forgotten how tedious and how much of a hassle the preparation process is alone, but also mixed with a 2-hour drive and whatnot, and you know, it just makes it all the more arduous. But you know, it's all worth it in the end. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Wanted to record one clip before we actually took off. It's 3 of us. It's my dad, my brother, and I going out here. I originally wanted to do a clip before we left the house, but I couldn't because I wasn't exactly in the right mind space due to the chaotic preparation this morning. So I wanted to wait until I got here and had my mind cleared up enough so that I can do a proper commentary without messing up too much. But yeah, we'll see what today has in store. We have 3 nights here to spend, so we should have a lot coming ahead. So hopefully this gets interesting. So what you're watching right now is a sped up video of my walk to a gift shop that was located on the campgrounds at the state park. I was going there with my brother to get, I think, paper plates. You know, we had brought some plates along, but we didn't want to go through the trouble of washing it. It's not like we could have anyway. My dad forgot to bring a little tub for us to be able to wash it in, so we wanted to just get paper plates so that we can just easily dispose of them without having to deal with, you know, washing it up and whatnot. It's a fairly straightforward path there. It's relatively close. I don't know how far exactly it is, but it was a straightforward path. I did cut through one campsite, as you saw, which I can assure you was vacant at the time. There would be eventually in the coming days a family that ended up camping there, but we were in the clear. At the time the video, this sequence was recorded. I was more so focusing on how coy and how discreetly I can film rather than looking through the camera and trying to remain as steady as possible, which is why the video looks all very shaky. I might do something in post-production. I'm editing right now. I might do something in post-production to kind of stabilize the video, but you know, if nothing gets done, well, you're just gonna have to see a very shaky video of me walking to a gift shop. We did make another trip there to the gift shop to get some paper towels because I don't know if we had any. I don't think we did, but that's about it. All right, this is wrap-up commentary for the, you know, the end of day 1. There wasn't really much that we did. We just really, the primary thing that we did was really settle in, you know, eat, you know, we'll set up our things like our tents and whatnot, eat, relax, you know. Did a little bit of exploring. I actually went back to the old campsite that I was originally at when I last came here in August of 2018. So really there was nothing eventful that I could have really documented this day, which is why this segment of the video is likely going to be the shortest out of all of them. There's not really going to be anything interesting this first day around, you know, aside from just prepping the stuff, which I didn't record. But you know, I'm sure there's another tent time lapse on my channel that you can probably view. It's basically the same thing. But yeah, excuse me filming in the dark. I'm filming right now in the car. I'm gonna go leave, exit the car, go out in the tent, and probably just relax for the rest of the night, and then obviously go to sleep, and then wake up tomorrow morning and just get the day started. Maybe take you on a little bit of a tour of the campsite, you know, additional areas around here, give you an idea of the layout and the beautiful scenery of this area. So yeah, that should be the wrap up for day one. Hopefully that was interesting enough. There will definitely be more interesting stuff to come up, so see you then. Cool, breezy, dew-filled morning. It's pretty cloudy right now. I wonder what it's looking at like in the city. It's probably, I don't know, a little bit sunny, but here it's just totally cloudy. It may clear up later in the day. And speaking of later in the day, you've got some more exploring to do. You know, like I said, I only came here once, so it's not totally new experience, but at the same time, it's raw enough to still feel fun and fresh. So we'll see what happens. I must also add, whenever you go camping, there's always this weird thing where on the first night, right, you've been so adjusted to laying in your own bed, you know, all cozied up, you know. In my case, I have to share a tent with one other person. But even still, I'm so used to sleeping in my own bedroom that it just feels weird to all of a sudden be right next to someone. On top of that, not in a bed, like in a sleeping bag, on an air mattress, in a tent in the middle of the woods. Albeit it's a very soothing experience. It's very relaxing. But you know, let's say if you needed to go use the restroom, you not have to go outside, you know, or even worst case scenario, if you can even call it that, if you have to go take a shit or something, you have to go to the disgusting, nasty public bathrooms where you struggle to get the least amount of comfort because of how disgusting and gross and how smelly it is in there. Obviously it is a bathroom, so of course it's inevitable that it's gonna smell, but sometimes you just wonder what these fucking people eat, you know, for their shits to smell this horrid. It's just like, did you just swallow all your mucus and boogers, or did you just down like fucking 16 spicy Big Macs? Like, what did you eat, man? Like, jeez. That's some of the things I always wonder. Usually when I go to a public restroom, I just have a tendency to just douse that toilet seat and just Clorox before I can sit down. Like, spray it, wipe it, you know, maybe. Just let it sit there, air dry, do its thing, wipe it down, and then I'm good. But even still, it's a public restroom, so I'll never actually, you know, get to that zen portion that we all get to when we're in our own personal bathrooms at like our own homes and whatnot. I feel like it's sort of even worse for men's bathrooms, because they have no choice but to really sit down, so they kind of have a bit more care for like their own spaces. But men, my freaking gosh, like, they could mess up the whole place if they really wanted to, and you never really know if they did. That's the worst part about it, man. Sitting on this hammock that we set up on these two trees at the edge of our campsite right now. The neighboring camping family had just taken off and left. I don't know how long they've been here for, but they most certainly were here before us. My dad and brother are going shopping 30-40 minutes away, so it's going to be a little while before they can come back. I'm feeling this pressing obligation that I need to record more. Each piece of footage that you see here, with the exception of this one and the last one, are spaced out by several hours. So by this point it's already like noon, you know, whereas the first piece of footage for this day, the opening commentary for it was like at 8 something, like 3.5 hours ago. So I decided, why not, you know, give some filler space before I actually go explore other parts of the park, or at least give you a little bit of a tour. Why not just go and just show you this little trail connection around here? Because every campsite has their own entrance and connection to the trails that run through these woods right here. Very beautiful, as you can see. A lot of animal noises. In the end, they just kind of lead back into the campsite, but there's this really cool like trail commons, like this intersection of trails over here. It's just a very open space, very private feeling, albeit it has other connections to the other campsites, so you know, it may not be totally private, but it does feel tranquil nonetheless. I mean, look at that open space, you know, nice stumps, nice little clearing right here with giant trees going up above you, you know. And there's a fork in the trail, so this trail over this side goes to an empty campsite. This one goes to a campsite that's actually in fact occupied, so we're not going to be going down there. But you come up this trail, you will see, however, the picnic benches for that empty campsite over there. See that? Right over there. It may not be actually the same on this camera angle. I don't know if you can actually see it, but you go over here to this little pokey freaking stump here. You go to this little trail, climb over, get to this little area where you basically have to crawl now. I'm just gonna put my hood on just so that I don't dirty my hair. This area just kind of leads nowhere. You crawl through here, freaking getting caught on sticks and everything. Jeez. That leads back to our campsite and whatnot. You can see the tents through the trees right there. I may be actually pointing at like different directions of where I'm trying to point, because you know, I'm not centering the camera on my finger. I'm just pointing it forward. This trail just leads to that big ass tree right over there, and that's about it. So you just go over here, and you're back. You can see the hammock right here that I was chilling on, and the empty campsite, of course, over there. So maybe I may have a little bit more spots to sit, chill, and film some commentary. Oh. It's getting a bit warmer now. I think I could probably take off my jacket and my pants. Thank goodness I have good control over my coughing reflexes whenever I'm choking. Just force the crispy out of this place in my throat and just swallow it again. But as I said, it's around noon right now. Well, actually, it's probably closer to 1 at the time I'm recording this. I had breakfast around 9-ish, so I'm eating this bowl of cereal for now, just to keep sustenance. But also as a little snack, because why not, you know? After they come back, we're gonna go cast some lines. Not actually fish, you know? We may catch a fish or two, but I'm not a cruel human being. So I'll probably just let them go back into the water. But I've been cooped up at this campsite for a little while. And while it is tranquil, peaceful, it's very nice here, I don't want to just be cooped up here, you know? Part of the experience in camping is that you go and explore the place that you're actually camping at. Get to know the place, you know? That's what's fun about it. Or at least one of the things that's fun about it. The fly on the table. I'm gonna be casting lines now. Now, unfortunately, there's actually not too much footage of me casting the lines. I didn't exactly get a second person to hold the camera, and you know, my dad was already casting a line, so he couldn't do it. My brother was just watching and I didn't want to press him and, you know, all of a sudden place this obligation on him to film me casting the lines. I didn't want to place it on the ground because the area where we were fishing at, while it was rocky, it had a lot of dirt around it, and I didn't want to just dirty my camera just for a several second shot. But I did capture some scenes of the surrounding scenery. Cranberry Lake is what this area is called, and didn't end up catching anything on the second day, but it was still worth it. It was still pretty relaxing, if I do say so myself. I was hoping to get a shot of the West Beach. As you can see right here, it's on this little isthmus. Past this little stretch of skinny piece of land, well, an isthmus, is the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which leads on for about 140-ish miles before it reaches the Pacific Ocean and the Washington State coast. So yeah, hopefully we get a better view of it tomorrow. I was hoping to get a shot of it today, but it's too damn misty. You can even see it moving up on the Cranberry Lake right here where we're at. It's moving along here. It is sort of nice, but one of my favorite things to do whenever I go camping is to take a walk around the local camping loop. The reason why I use the word local is just the loop that I'm located in, that's all. But even still, it's a very long path, and you can actually see quite a lot. You can see Cranberry Lake and the beachside bathrooms stalls. You can see the Strait of Juan de Fuca out there. The mist had finally cleared. It's been misty all day, but it's finally cleared. But yeah, very nice trail. Very nice walking path, actually. And it's a circuit. It leads all the way back around. So yeah. What you're now watching is a 3.5 or so minute long sequence of me walking on the campsite loop. I originally wanted to speed this sequence up, but there was just so many interesting things that I saw on the way, or at least things that I thought was interesting, that I figured, why not just keep it its normal speed and keep it as its own sequence in the video. I mean, it's there for a reason, right? Also, the videography here is far better than the first walking sequence that I did. It's not as shaky, it's far more steady, so you can see a lot more in it. So enjoy. Birds fighting, huh? Saw a robin chasing a crow. Second bathroom stall. Look at a little volleyball set up right over there. Playing Jenga. Oh, I want to get a zoom in on that. I hope I'm not going to get lost. I don't think I am. I think we're circling back now slowly. Oh gosh, it smells like shit here. Down back that way is the gift shop, which I've already showed yesterday in yesterday's segment of the video. Now on my way back to the my campsite down this road, 140 right here. By the way, if you're wondering, I'm at site number 132, so yeah, I just need to go 8 sites down and I'm back. Should be just up here. See these line of, oh shit, I should probably center it so that I can, based off where the camera is. See these line of bushes right up here at the end? Campsite is just to the right, next to those bushes. A dumpster right here. And you have this faucet, which obviously pumps water, but the thing is, I think the drain is clogged, so there's just a bunch of standing water. It's just like a cesspool right there. Gross. Disgusting. Got new neighbors now. I'm not trying to show their license plate. Here we go. So we're getting towards the close of the second day. We returned to Cranberry Lake to cast some more lines, or at least my dad and I. My brother also went along. Shortly after this, my brother and I went to West Beach and kind of walked along the beachfront, where we also came upon a Douglas fir oak tree. It's a very old tree, about 850 years. And it's a very interesting looking tree. It has a very interesting shape and a very interesting way of growth. But what we also noticed on the beach was amazing creations and amazing builds that other people have done from the jagged, logs that were scattered along the beach side on the sand. And it was pretty interesting. I just had to record a portion of it. Possibly. Yeah. Don't mind my sort of dried out face. I just rinsed it in water from the park faucet. This morning is not as dew-filled as yesterday's, likely because, I slept in a little bit and I woke up about an hour and a half later than I did yesterday. So maybe by that time the dew had already disappeared, or maybe it didn't, I'm not sure. The this is going to be our second and last full day here. So after we go to sleep tonight, we wake up, we start preparing and packing up to leave to head back into the city by around 1 p.m. That's kind of like our designated checkout time. But also, I think it was set that way so we can just beat traffic on the highways and the freeways. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We still got a full day, as I said, as I've implied. Still got a full day ahead of us. So yeah, this time we'll actually go more in depth exploring the sites, you know, like West Beach, the Deception Pass Amphitheater, and get a view of the strait running through, the Puget Sound running underneath the Deception Pass Bridge. I think the reason why we had the activities, especially exploring, so spaced out is because we're camping for 1 day more than we usually do. Usually we only camp for like 2 nights, but this time we're going 3 nights. 3 nights. This is a battery pack in case you don't know. It's what I'm using to charge my freaking phone, which has the worst battery life of all time. But hopefully we could see those sites today. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So we returned to Cranberry Lake around noon-ish, I would say. It was cloudy that day, but there was no mist that was all over the place obstructing the views. So, which is why in the video you can see clearly across the lake, but also across to West Beach, and also beyond that. I mean, there was Area Strait or the Strait of Juan de Fuca, you can see all of that. So that was good news in and of itself. It was a very cool morning. So overall pleasant, especially given the fact that the state has just came out of a massive heat wave, so it was really good news in that sense. We went to the lake to cast some more lines, my dad and I. Up to around this point he had been making pretty much all the catches, but at some point he equipped my fishing pole with a bobber and also some worm as bait, you know, and lure, and he cast it out, we let it sit there. I know how to cast my own lines if you're wondering. We cast it out, we let it sit there. I saw the line shaking and being tugged on a little bit, so I kind of reeled it out, and I felt it loosen a little bit, so I decided to wait a little longer. Then I felt a tug again. I start casting, or no, I start reeling it in. Next thing you know, out comes a freaking 7 to 8 inch rainbow trout. That fish was pretty damn big. It was the biggest catch of the trip, and it was also my first ever catch, so it was pretty exciting. I did end up catching another fish, but it wasn't nearly as huge as this one. Here's also a picture of me with it because, you know, we also have to get a picture of it. The video that you saw of the fish struggling on the fish pole was, you know, my dad. He was about to unhook it, but we decided we wanted to take one more picture, this time of me holding it. What happened, however, is that bought enough time for the fish to be out of the water long enough so that by the time we put it back in there, like released it back into the water, it was oxygen deprived. So for a few moments, it was just kind of limp and floating towards the top of the water. I actually thought it died, but my dad grabbed it. You know, he knows quite a bit about fish. He kind of guided it through the water just to try to get oxygen back in its system. And a few moments later, it came to and, you know, swam towards, you know, the bottom of the lake. So, also the story of my first catch, but also how I thought a fish almost died on my first catch. And I don't want to be killing fishes, you know. I'm not that cruel of a human being, jeez. After we did some fishing at Cranberry Lake, we decided to go back to the campsite and put all our stuff away. But we also got into the car and drove down to West Beach, where we spent a couple of moments. We also walked along the beachfront, very much like we did on the second day, although our original intention was to check out the Douglas fir oak tree, actually spend time there. There was already another family checking it out, so we just continued down the trail on the beach and found ourselves in this beautiful trail that went through the forest. It actually led us to the other side, the opposite side of Cranberry Lake from which we were fishing, and we caught a close view of the 2 bald eagles that we actually saw while fishing. We were trying to locate the nest somewhere in the trees, but we just couldn't find it for the life of us. We eventually came back up north to the main West Beach area. My brother and I then went to the North Beach. He then went back with my dad, after which, my dad and him drove up to North Beach, spent a bit of time, and I started skipping rocks. I think I actually even recorded a first-person rock skip. So here it is right now. Honestly, I did not remember the bridge being that far. You may also notice a white tarp covering the southern half of the bridge. That's largely because there was some construction work going on there. So as I was skipping rocks, sometimes when I do skip rocks, I tend to, get really into it. And at one point, I think I almost hit a girl who was about, I would say, about 20 yards to like the right of me, which would have been around about to the east of me. So I was gonna skip it, and I sort of lost grip, or it sort of slipped out of my hand, almost hit her. Well, it didn't almost hit her, it landed about like less than a yard from her. I'm very thankful that it did, otherwise, it would have been a very awkward moment being there. But overall, the beach, the North Beach at least, felt pretty underwhelming in comparison to last time. I thought it'd be much closer to the bridge, for one, and two, it just, I don't know, it's I think mentally I just hyped it up more than it actually was. But also by the beach, there's also the amphitheater that's located on the campgrounds, which is pretty interesting actually. I wonder how many people actually go up there to seriously perform. So, I've got a little clip of that, and yep. And yup, indeed. Unfortunately for you, but fortunately for me, I'll get to that in a moment. That is actually the last of the documentation for the trip. Now, you see, remember that battery pack that I was using to charge my phone before? Well, apparently I'd used it so frequently because my phone kept on running out that it actually ran out of charge. We had one spare, but it was reserved for emergency purposes, just in case, if we had to like jumpstart the car battery or something like that. And so I was like, I understood that. So on the third day, there's significantly less footage than the second because, one, I didn't actually know how much charge was in the first battery pack, and two, I kept on powering my phone off when I wasn't recording just as a way to save battery, because I at least wanted to get a recording done of the unpacking operation, when we're preparing to leave. So that didn't get recorded, sadly, but in place of that, I'll just do a little recap. So I woke up around 9:50 in the morning, shortly before 10 o'clock on the morning of the 8th. Laid in bed for a little bit, deflated my pillow in my sleeping bag, did my normal morning usual things, and we proceeded to get packed up, get loaded up again. Now by that point, the hammock and my dad's tent, the blue one, in the brief campsite tour video that I did, was already packed up. So we really had to do some reorganizing in the trunk of the car, get the stuff out of my brother and I's tent, dismantle that tent, load it back up, and then load it with all the other stuff that was on the picnic bench. And that lasted from about 10:30 to about, 10:15 to about 11:30-ish. So we finished around 11:30-ish and, emptied out the coolers and whatnot of the melted ice by that point, loaded them back in, and we waited for a moment because, we had to like throw some stuff away, get our hands washed and everything, or at least my brother did. And then we got back into the car. I took one last glimpse at the campsite, and by 11:44 a.m. we were rolling on out of there. We got back to the city, or at least the city where I live, around 1:30 in the afternoon, and arrived home just before 1:40 in the afternoon. So yeah, I'm recording this right now just after midnight on the 12th, so a lot of the editing and the post-production was done yesterday on the 11th. I wanted to take some time to recuperate because I was still sort of exhausted from the trip. Had no idea that the editing process was going to be this much of an operation, but hey, if you made it to the end of this video, I wholeheartedly thank you, like sincerely from the bottom of my heart, and hope you enjoyed this video, because this was quite a process. This was the first time I edited a video and not only got bored during the process, but actually felt genuinely exhausted at how arduous it was, how much of a task it was arranging all of these files together. There's about 60 plus files in this video alone, and I'd say 6 hours worth of editing on here, and just for like around what, about almost 40 minutes of content. So there you go. This is going to be one of the few occasions where I actually have a massive video out there. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. There'll be some new content to come.